Hi, teacher.
Good evening, guys. How are you today?
We are fine.
Okay, Angelica. I saw that you were having some presentations. How was it? No comments about the presentations?
They were just fantastic. So we could learn more about fantastic places like Maldives, Machu Picchu, and some museum that one of my partners shared. So it was great.
Great, guys. Very good. Well, also I noticed that you finished like just like in time as usual, but well, you are already used like to work really, really hard. So I know that, let's say this hectic routine is not that new to you. Just to refresh your memory, remember guys that tomorrow and on Thursday, we won't have our sessions, that we would meet again on Thursday. That applies for the first part of the class and of course also the second part of the class. Yo sé que el profe Omar ya les dijo, pero fue una directriz que nos insistieron mucho en recordarles y pues por eso prefiero como decirla en español en este momento, por si de pronto alguien está lejos y por allá escucha más o menos. Recuerden que obviamente al decir que no tenemos la clase aplica tanto para el primer como el segundo bloque, tanto el día de mañana como el jueves. Y obviamente pues retomamos nuestras sesiones normales, por decirlo así, el día viernes, que viene siendo el 9 y ya quedamos a puertas de lo que viene siendo el cierre de nuestro primer ciclo para retomar God willing in January. Okay. Well, guys, I would like to know if you have any question before we start. Okay. Well, guys, you have already finished Unit 3. The idea of Unit 3, precisely as you remember, we were talking about the world, we were talking about cultures, we were talking about geography in general. And as I was asking you some minutes ago, I wanted to know how you did on the presentations that you had for today. And it was really nice to hear that actually everything was pretty good. If you are, I know that you are on the book, we're going to do the first activity. And then after we do the activity, I'm going to take attendance. I was telling you, if you're in the book, that will be pages 36 and 37. And we are going to start our final unit of our first cycle. Let's call it first cycle, of course. And the title says Real Lives. Let's see in general aspects what we will be studying on this unit 4. We will be talking about, as usual, the first aspect in terms of grammar. We will refresh our memory about present perfect and past simple. Eventually, while the unit develops, we will be talking about the present perfect simple and present perfect continuous. In terms of vocabulary, life events, personal qualities, and if we have time, of course, we will be working on our final task. Instead, nominate someone for an award. As you already know, on next Monday, the idea that you deliver the first draft or the first part actually of your project, and then on the next day, that will be Tuesday, excuse me, we will having our first exam. Okay. I think that in terms of
When, teachers?
On Tuesday, the 13th.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I said Thursday, but it was my mistake. No, it's Tuesday. Okay. It will be the 13th. We will have our exam. And on the 12th, we are going to have, or you will be delivering your project. Remember that that project part, you will be, okay, I guess it is important to clarify that, although I know that you know, you will be delivering that part to Professor Omar, okay? The part of the project. Well, guys, page 36, let's have a look at the pictures that we have in here. Although the title says Real Lives, as you can see from the different pictures, we are talking about, let's say, somehow famous people. Let me zoom in a little bit, although I know that you know. Well, guys, who's the first person that we have here? Who's this guy? Let me turn this off for a moment so you pay all your attention to the image.
Brad Pitt.
Okay, very good. And guys, what do you know about him?
He's actor.
He's an actor. Okay. What
A
else?
famous actor in Hollywood.
Mhm. Very
He
good.
was married with Angelina Jolie.
He was married to Angelina Jolie. Very good.
And it's her his ex-wife is
Uh-huh.
Jennifer Aniston,
Mm-hmm.
and
Very good.
the current ex-wife is Angelina Jolie.
Ah, okay. Yeah. Mhm, that's the reality. And you know,
The-
if I'm not mistaken, he was also married to Gwyneth Paltrow, right? So there's an interesting list of ex-wives. Something else?
He was considered the most handsome
Mm-hmm.
man of the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, maybe we don't remember probably the precise year, but at some point, People Magazine named him as the most handsome man. Absolutely. Guys, what about the second picture? What do you know about her?
is the wife of the future king of England.
Okay, she's the wife of the future king. Mm-hmm. Very good. Remember her name, guys?
Kathy something.
Kate Middleton.
It's
Kate.
Kate Middleton. Mm-hmm. Very good. What else do you know about her, guys?
She have 3
She has 3 children. Mm-hmm.
children.
Okay. Something else? Okay. Well, what about the third one? Mhm.
Shakira.
Absolutely. What can we say about her?
She was married with Gerard Piqué.
Mhm. She
No.
was married too. No?
They are
They're still
married.
married?
No.
Oof,
No?
teacher.
No.
They already separated, right?
That was
Yeah,
a
but they
Like 2 days ago, actually. They signed the papers. But yeah, it's a difficult timeline to follow, right? What else?
she
She
has
has
2
Mar
children.
and Talent,
She has 2 children. Okay.
and she has Mar and Talent artist.
She's a smart and talented artist. Absolutely.
Yeah, she speaks 7
Languages. Mhm.
languages. Something. Excuse me. Sorry.
Okay. That's okay. Something else that you would like to add?
She has she founded Pies Descalzos.
Mm-hmm. That's her foundation. Very good. Well, her charity, actually. Good. Guys, the fourth picture, who's that guy?
Barack Obama.
Sorry. Barack Obama. Okay. What can we say about him?
He is the first black president of the one of most important country in the world.
Yeah, African American, you know, the political correctness of the language.
Sorry.
Okay. What else?
Was the first Black president in USA.
Or I was telling, I don't remember, it was Angelica, maybe. Judy, African American, not black, you know. In our case, we probably don't see any harm, you know, saying like black, blah, blah, blah. But it's preferred to use African American just in case, you know, it's more like a cultural thing. What else, guys? Okay. Yes. Anderson, you were going to say something? I'm sorry.
Okay. Barack Obama, he had a big problem in his government
His government?
Because they spies all the world. Ellos espían a todo el mundo.
They spied. Ah,
They
okay. Well, talking about that moment. Okay. Well, America. Mm-hmm. And guys, the final picture. Who's that guy?
Winston Churchill.
Winston Churchill. Okay. What do you know? What have you heard? What have you read about him?
She was the prime minister of the of the UK.
Mhm.
Soldier, bright, statesman.
Yeah,
Mhm.
before that, he was a military in the First World War.
Okay, the World War One.
World
Okay.
War One, and the Second World War. Yeah, he was the first minister that my partner said.
Mm-hmm.
He helped to win the war.
Okay. Yeah, he had a lot to do, of course.
I know
Of-
that the financial experiments like and okay, sorry. I organized the idea and tell you in a minute.
Okay. Well, the idea, as I was telling you for the moment, was like to have a look at some images, in this case, pictures of different people. We will be reading and listening today about them. That's like the intention. Okay, it's already 8:12. I'm going to take attendance. If the ones that logged in some seconds ago were wondering about that part, I haven't done that yet. I wanted to start first with this activity, like to give you actually a couple of extra minutes, to take part of the session and to avoid giving you that absence that we know that it exists. So give me a second. I'm going to turn this off for a moment and let's take attendance. B1, today is the 6th. Alejandra Roballo. I haven't seen Alejandra yesterday and today. Let's continue. Joely Ayala.
Presente.
Okay. Next, Ana María Velasco.
Presente.
Okay. We have Luisa Fernanda Perez.
Present.
Next is Mayra Juliet Pinzon.
Presente, teacher.
Okay. Stephanie Córdoba.
Present, teacher.
Very good. Jamie Azucena Rios. I think I saw her. I'm quite sure that sí, ahí está Azucena Rios, but I'm gonna wait for her reply on the chat. Bueno, Azucena, cuando me conteste le pongo acá en la asistencia. Andrea Vaca.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Harold David Rodríguez. I think I saw him too. Harold David. Bueno, cuando me conteste, coloco acá el aviso. Anderson Andrés.
Present.
Okay. Let me see the chat. Sí, Luisa, sí le escuché. I heard you, sorry. Anderson Andrés, you already told me present. I got confused. Yes. There you
Yes.
were. Andrés Álvarez.
Yeah, here.
Okay. Judy Lisette.
Present.
Okay. Daniela Fernanda.
Present, teacher.
Ahora sí, Brian Miguel. That you were writing in the chat.
Hi, teacher.
There you are. Very good. Angélica Stephanie.
Hi, teacher.
Okay. Jordan Alexis.
Present, teacher.
Very good. Diana Lisette.
Hi, teacher. I'm here.
Okay. Silvia Alejandra.
Present, teacher.
Okay. Gilbert?
I'm here.
Okay. John?
Here I am.
Okay. And Jennifer Jimena?
Here.
Okay, very good. Hi. Okay. Let me go back to the
Sorry,
book.
teacher, you didn't ask me.
Who?
I'm Harold.
Hi, really, Harold? Actually, I did.
I'm sorry, I have a bad connection today. Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah, but I did, Harold. But anyway, I needed you to remind me that so I can check the attendance properly. I'm gonna say the next part in Spanish. Quedo pendiente de Azucena, que vi que está conectada, pero no me contestó ni en el chat. Entonces, si no contesta, pues no está. Well, guys, I was telling you that, well, today we're going to begin Unit 4. The title says Real Lives. You already noticed that when we start the units, the first part usually focuses a little bit on the linguistic component, and today we will be refreshing our memory, talking about present perfect and past simple. In general terms, talking about the linguistic aspect. And as you already noticed, we were, or I was asking you about these 5 famous people around the world. First, like talking about very general aspects about them. From what we have read, we have listened, probably some aspects are more, let's say, known. Some of them are more popular than the others. I mean, but the idea for the moment was just to collect like very general aspects of information. We already did that part. We're going to do this next part. It says work in pairs, but we are going to do it individually. Today you will be working on a collaboratively, let's say, collaborative assignment. I don't need the adverb in that part. In that moment, we will be working in pairs. My intention today is to focus a little bit more on speaking compared to the other day that we usually focus on writing. Let's have a look at what the instruction says. Well, Brian, I'm going to lower your hand. Mayra, please, could you read the instruction of part B?
Work in pairs. Can you match the people with the surprising achievements in the text?
Very good. Well, guys, this is something that is very connected to what you will be presenting on the first draft of your project. Do you remember the meaning of achievements? Or what could be a good
Like-
synonym?
Logros.
I heard logros. What else?
When you reach something that you have planned.
Very good. Well, that's the idea. So, sorry?
Goals.
Also goals. Okay, we can say like something related to that. Very good. So we have already clear what achievement is. As John also was already saying, something that you have been working like a lot in order to get. In this case, what you're going to do is to match the name of the 5 people that we have just, let's say, analyzed with the 5 different achievements that we have in here. Anyway, we're going to read the achievements in order to make sure that the information is clear. I have a connection issue. Okay. Thank you very much, Azucena. I'm going to make the adjustment on the list.
Teacher, which page is that?
That is page 36.
Okay, thank you.
Like officially starting unit 4. Let's see the 5 achievements that we have in here. Let's start by reading number 1 and number 2. Ana Maria, please.
Has published the best-selling book for children, wrote over 70 books won the Nobel Prize for Literature.
That's it. What about number 3? Anderson, could you read it, please?
Has learned to speak 6 languages and has founded many schools for poor children. He's Shakira.
Children. Okay. And what about 4 and 5? Andrea, please.
Studied architecture and has designed several buildings. Has rowed from England to France.
Very good, guys. What is this sport? Rowed. Look it up.
Remar.
Remar. Remo.
Very good. So, well, sorry about the noise. So, imagine the distance between England and France. Any of these 5 people actually did that activity. Well, some of these achievements are, let's say, easier than others in order to the type of recognition that we can make. But anyway, the first part that you're going to do is to predict, okay? We only have 5 names and we only have 5 achievements. So, as we already know, well, Shakira probably is more like, let's say, obvious in one of them. But let's see the others in which of these activities we can match them with. I'm going to give you anyway, like 3 minutes, you know, to reread the statements, to analyze the information and to decide based on the information and probably based on what we have already shared, which person matches which of these achievements better. Okay? Guys, is the instruction clear? I'm going to set up the timer.
Yes.
Well, guys, 3 minutes is starting now. For the moment, we are just predicting. Let's begin.
Teacher, can you type please the name of the last man?
Okay, sure. Give me a second.
Thank you.
Well, guys, time's up. Remember that on this first, let's say, approach to the information, the idea was just to predict. We had, well, Winston Churchill, we had Brad Pitt, we had Kate Middleton, we had Barack Obama, and if I'm not mistaken, I haven't said Shakira. Now we're going to do the part where we actually check the information, you know, but we gotta be really careful because there is also a second exercise that you have to do at the same time. I'm talking about the instruction here on part C. It says listen again, but we're going to do it at the same time. Actually, it's pretty simple, I dare to say, in the way that they present the information. So I'm sure it is not going to be that, let's say, complicated to you. Andres Alvarez, could you read this instruction of C, please?
Okay, listen and check one of the achievements. Which planet bad it happened? Which one was it and why?
Very good. So guys, remember that on this part, you have to do two things. It's the same track, but you're gonna listen twice. What you have to do first is actually make sure that you match the name of the person to the corresponding achievement. As we were saying at the beginning of the activity, probably some of the achievements look more, let's say, obvious than the others, maybe. In other cases, probably you have to make some adjustments. And second, notice what the instruction says. One of these 5 achievements was planned, but at the end didn't happen. So one of them was like, in a moment, like a good intention, a good idea, but at the end of the day, the plan never occurred. Okay, so you have to listen to the information and decide which of these 5 plans actually never happened at all. Okay, 2 activities, basically with the same piece of information. Guys, is the instruction clear?
Yes, teacher.
Yes, teacher.
Thank you, Andres. Thank you, Daniela. Remember, make sure that your answers are correct and one of the plans didn't happen. Why it didn't happen? As I was telling you, we're gonna listen only twice. Compared to other listenings that we have been using, I dare to say that this one is less complex. I'm not going to say more. Okay, let me turn this off. Also the microphone, of course, I'm going to share sound. Let's listen to it. Well, anyway, but let's be honest. If you consider that you need to listen a 3rd time, let me know. It's just fine.
Unit 4, Recording 1. Some people are so famous that it's hard to believe they have other skills. But this week in our Fabulous Facts slot, we're focusing on famous people and their hidden talents.
Barack Obama, for example, is not only one of the most famous politicians in the world, he has also published several books, including a book for children called Of Thee I Sing, A Letter to My Daughters. He wrote the book in 2008 for his 2 daughters, as you might guess from the title.
Obama isn't the only politician to appear in bookshops. Winston Churchill, the famous British Prime Minister, was also an author and an artist. Over the course of his life, he wrote over 70 books and painted more than 500 pictures. In 1953, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature, the only world leader who has ever done this.
And what about modern celebrities? Do they have the same hidden talents? Well, some of them do. Pop singer Shakira, for example, doesn't just produce international hit records. She has learnt to speak 6 languages. Wow! And since she became successful in 1995, she has also founded schools for poor children all over Colombia, her native country, and has raised tens of millions of pounds for charity. What a woman!
And Brad Pitt is not just Hollywood's leading actor, he's also an architect. He has apparently been interested in architecture since he was young and has studied the subject for many years. He has even designed a restaurant and an apartment building.
Even royals these days have surprising talents. Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, is a keen sportswoman, and before she was engaged to Prince William, she trained to row across the English Channel to France, a total of 34 kilometres, as part of an all-woman team. Unfortunately, she couldn't take part in the end. It was too dangerous because so many photographers were planning to follow her boat. What a shame.
Let's listen the second time.
Unit 4, Recording 1. Some people are so famous that it's hard to believe they have other skills. But this week in our Fabulous Facts slot, we're focusing on famous people and their hidden talents.
Barack Obama, for example, is not only one of the most famous politicians in the world, he has also published several books, including a book for children called Of Thee I Sing, A Letter to My Daughters. He wrote the book in 2008 for his 2 daughters, as you might guess from the title.
Obama isn't the only politician to appear in bookshops. Winston Churchill, the famous British Prime Minister, was also an author and an artist. Over the course of his life, he wrote over 70 books and painted more than 500 pictures. In 1953, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature, the only world leader who has ever done this.
And what about modern celebrities? Do they have the same hidden talents? Well, some of them do. Pop singer Shakira, for example, doesn't just produce international hit records. She has learnt to speak 6 languages. Wow! And since she became successful in 1995, she has also founded schools for poor children all over Colombia, her native country, and has raised tens of millions of pounds for charity. What a woman!
And Brad Pitt is not just Hollywood's leading actor, he's also an architect. He has apparently been interested in architecture since he was young and has studied the subject for many years. He has even designed a restaurant and an apartment building.
Even royals these days have surprising talents. Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, is a keen sportswoman, and before she was engaged to Prince William, she trained to row across the English Channel to France, a total of 34 kilometres, as part of an all-woman team. Unfortunately, she couldn't take part in the end. It was too dangerous because so many photographers were planning to follow her boat. What a shame.
Okay, guys, we're going to do the first part. Remember, the idea was to make sure or to compare the answers that you had gotten for all the different achievements that we had in there and to decide which was the person who actually did them at some point. Angelica, what about number 1? Let me see the chat.
Okay, number 1 is Barack Obama.
Absolutely, very good. And let me ask about number 2, Azucena.
Yes, teacher, the number 2 is Winston Churchill.
Okay, Azucena, very good. Ryan, what about number 3? We had already, let's say, used 2 names, Barack Obama and Winston Churchill. And based on that piece of information,
Obama.
but Obama was number 1, Brian.
Shakira. Con el cuadrito que está ahí.
Or Shakira.
Yeah, from this chart, number 3 is about Shakira. Ese cuadrito estaba ahí escondido. Póngale por un poquito más acá. Daniela, what about number 4?
4 is Brad Pitt.
So which is the name that we have left, Diana?
Teacher is Kate Middleton.
Kate Middleton, very good. That was the first part of the activity. Remember that we also had to do 2 things. Okay, Jen, very good. From those 5 achievements, there was one that actually didn't happen, you know? Harold, which one didn't happen? Do you know?
Number
Can
5.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, I'm asking you, like, the second part of the activity, that there was one of the achievements that actually didn't take place, you know? So which of the 5 ones was?
I think that maybe 5 and 2.
Well, it's only one.
Oh, sorry.
So choose one.
Just 5.
Just 5. Okay. And guys, why that didn't happen? You know, because remember that not only to say, but why?
Because that was very dangerous for Kate, because so many photographers are
blind
planning
photos.
to wait for him, for her.
For her. Yeah, very good. That was the thing. It was, first of all, it was too dangerous because of the reason that were already explained. They were planning to follow her. Very good. Anyway, she has already trained, you know, actually she had the training, but at the end of the day, when not the same day, of course, we can't say that. When the event was about to happen, well, it was decided that probably wasn't that, you know, safe for her. Very good. Well, guys, notice that in all the cases, we have been talking about different moments of their lives. Of course, we can't deny that there are moments that already occurred, and also there are moments that somehow continue in their present lives. We're going to go to part 3. As you already know, then on these parts, we move to the linguistic component. There is a microphone open. We have to be very careful about the instruction, right? I'm going to read it for you in this case. Choose the correct verb form, listen again and check. So these are some parts that were taken from the recording, you know. First, you are going to look at all the information and you have to decide which is the correct form of every single, let's say, both options that we have in here. Notice that in the case of number 1, we have published, has published, wrote, has written. The case of number 2, painted, has painted, wrote, has written, won, has won. The case of number 3, founded, has founded, also raised, has also raised. Number 4, was, has been, designed, has designed. Number 5, was, has been, trained, has trained. Anyway, guys, having a quick scan to the 5, let's say, pieces of information that we have in here. Do you have any question of vocabulary? Questions, vocabulary? It's okay. Okay.
I think that it's okay.
Thank you, John. Okay, guys, and of course, probably it sounds obvious, but as you notice, all the information is organized in the same way that it is presented on the track. Like the first person that you're talking about is Barack Obama, and the last person that you're talking about is Kate Middleton. Okay, guys, I'm gonna give you 7 minutes. First, to analyze the statements. Remember, first you have to decide. After the 7 minutes, we're going to listen and we are going to check. Entonces, ahorita no me digan, profe, y el audio. No, it's because first you're analyzing the information in order to decide which are the correct answers in all the cases. I'm not going to interrupt you anymore. 7 minutes starting now. Well, guys, time's up. Remember, on this first part, you were choosing, of course, the most appropriate conjugation in each case, based on the context, of course. Well, we just have listened. Probably, let's say, why now deciding on how good your memory is. But now we're going to listen again. We're going to listen only once. Okay, guys, making sure that you compare your answers to the information that is being presented on the track. Then after that, we're going to socialize the answers. Okay, remember, guys, only once. Let's listen.
Unit 4, Recording 1. Some people are so famous that it's hard to believe they have other skills. But this week in our Fabulous Facts slot, we're focusing on famous people and their hidden talents.
Barack Obama, for example, is not only one of the most famous politicians in the world, he has also published several books, including a book for children called Of Thee I Sing, A Letter to My Daughters. He wrote the book in 2008 for his 2 daughters, as you might guess from the title.
Obama isn't the only politician to appear in bookshops. Winston Churchill, the famous British Prime Minister, was also an author and an artist. Over the course of his life, he wrote over 70 books and painted more than 500 pictures. In 1953, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature, the only world leader who has ever done this.
And what about modern celebrities? Do they have the same hidden talents? Well, some of them do. Pop singer Shakira, for example, doesn't just produce international hit records. She has learnt to speak 6 languages. Wow! And since she became successful in 1995, she has also founded schools for poor children all over Colombia, her native country, and has raised tens of millions of pounds for charity. What a woman!
And Brad Pitt is not just Hollywood's leading actor, he's also an architect. He has apparently been interested in architecture since he was young and has studied the subject for many years. He has even designed a restaurant and an apartment building.
Even royals these days have surprising talents. Kate Middleton, the Duchess of Cambridge, is a keen sportswoman, and before she was engaged to Prince William, she trained to row across the English Channel to France, a total of 34 kilometres, as part of an all-woman team. Unfortunately, she couldn't take part in the end. It was too dangerous because so many photographers were planning to follow her boat. What a shame.
Okay, guys, let's have a look at our answers. Let me ask Jennifer Jimena, what about number 1? Could you read the whole statement, please?
Yes. Barack Obama has published several books. In 2008, he wrote a book for his 2 daughters.
Very good. When we're talking about years, well, specifically in this case of the 2000 family, we can say 2008 or 2008. Whatever you choose is perfect.
Thank you, teacher. Yeah, I forgot.
Thank you. Jennifer, very good.
Sorry, has published or published?
Has published. The first one is present perfect. Okay.
And second is wrote.
Wrote, very good.
Yes, I say that.
Here I heard in the audio the first one.
You heard the first one, what?
The first one that published without has.
No, it is has published. We can play it again the first few seconds if you want.
Yes.
Just to make sure, you know. It isn't like I'm forcing you to believe. That's not the point.
Unit 4, Recording 1. Some people are so famous that it's hard to believe they have other skills. But this week in our Fabulous Facts slot, we're focusing on famous people and their hidden talents.
Barack Obama, for example, is not only one of the most famous politicians in the world, He has also published several.
Notice that she says he has also published. Probably it sounds really fast, but but okay, very good. The idea is to clarify, you know, that's the point. It is not like, okay, believe me. No. In this case, well, we had also the also word included on that part. I was going to ask John, please, what about number 2?
Okay. Over the course of his life, Winston Churchill painted more than 500 pictures and wrote over 70 books. In 1953, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature.
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 That's
That
a
word
tricky
is
one.
difficult to, yes, that word is difficult to pronounce it.
Very good. Well, in this case, or the case of, let me turn this on for a moment. The case of Winston Churchill, all of them were in past. Let's have a look at number 3. Joely, please.
Since 1995, Shakira has founded a school for poor children all over Colombia. Also, she also raised many millions of dollars for charity.
In your case, you had only past simple in the second part?
Yes.
Did you agree, guys? Also past simple?
No, it has also raised.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because somehow the idea is still in progress, right?
Okay.
Let me see a question in the chart. In that case, in the second paragraph, all of them are in past because the event already happened, you know? In that case, let's say that he's already dead and the events finished at some point in his life in past. Well, actually, that is what we will be discussing in a second when we, let's say, analyze the grammatical part more explicitly. But probably you are already like making the connections, you know, like the difference between one type of conjugation to the other. When we say that it is in past, it's because it's completely finished, while the others somehow give us the idea that it's still in progress, not because it is in a continuous form, but because the person hasn't finished doing that action. For example, in the case of Barack Obama, he has published. We can't say that he's not publishing books anymore. He hasn't said that he has stopped being a writer in his life. It is a process. He continues writing books, you know. Also in the case of number 3 that we're talking about Shakira, we know that she has founded. It is not like she founded 3 schools and no more. That's like a project that she has still on progress. And also she keeps on getting money in order to help other charities. Not like she had charities in the past and no more. That is something that is still, let's say, has an impact in her present. I was listening to someone in the microphone, I guess.
Yes, teacher. When we also analyze the 5 situations, I select past continuous, has also raised, but when
Present perfect. Past continuous? No, we have here past simple or present perfect.
Yes, has also raised, but when we listen the recording, I listen just also raised.
Okay, let's check, of course. It is around, let me make the changes in here. Let me turn this off so you don't see my face suffering in here. It is around
He
here.
wrote over 70 books and painted.
Do they have the same hidden talents? Well, some of them do.
Yeah, in this part, they're going just to start talking about Shakira, so let's focus our attention on that part.
Pop singer Shakira, for example, doesn't just produce international hit records. She has learnt to speak 6 languages. Wow. And since she became successful in 1995, she has also founded schools for poor children all over Colombia, her native country, and has raised tens of millions of pounds for charity. What a woman!
And has raised. In
Okay,
this
teacher.
case, she didn't use the also, you know, but it was kind of fast, the pronunciation, right? But did you listen to the has raised?
Yes, teacher. Thank you.
Okay, no, thank you, guys. Yeah, I mean, if you want to ask, we listen, we check. As I was telling you, it is not like you have to believe me like blind eyes. No, if you're not sure, we check the track and we actually make sure that the answer is correct because it's correct, not because you have to believe me. Let's have a look at number 4. I was going to ask Jordan.
Brad Pitt has been interested in architecture since he was young, and he has designed a restaurant and an apartment building.
He has designed, okay? In this case, they were in present perfect, yes?
Could you put audio? Because I didn't listen has design.
Okay.
Only design.
Let's play it again. Jolie was waiting in the waiting room. Oops. Okay.
And Brad Pitt is not just Hollywood's leading actor, he's also an architect. He has apparently been interested in architecture since he was young and has studied the subject for many years. He has even designed a restaurant and an apartment building.
Okay, yeah, he has even designed.
Yeah, there are like other tricky words that are not included in here, but they say in the recording, probably that's the tricky part. Don't worry. And number 5, let me ask Sylvia.
Yes. Before she was engaged to Prince William, Kate Middleton trained to row across the English Channel in an all-woman team.
That's it. Very good. In this case, notice that we are talking about an event that has already happened in Kate's life. It was before she was engaged. Notice that, well, she's already married to the prince. So that is why in this case, we can use only past simple. And this is a very common combination that we have in English, you know, past simple. Let's say, I'm not going to say versus, but in some cases it looks like that, combined to present perfect. So let me share the whole screen. Talking about the grammatical component, as I was telling you, there are some aspects that we have to analyze in order to construct. You have been already using these tenses. Remember that on the different written activity that we have been doing, for example, the other day, we were talking about different events. And you already know how to use the past tenses, but today is like the moment to talk about them explicitly. Let's put it like that. First of all, when we're talking about present perfect, you already noticed that we have 2 uses. First of all, we have or has, and the verb in past participle. You already know that in English, we have 2 groups of verbs. We have the regular verbs that we, like in very general idea, of course, we change the ed, we add, the ed, and then we have the irregular verbs. That means that they change a little bit more, like the case of write, win, find, and be. We have to be very careful, guys, because we're talking about the verbs in past participle. Remember that we have the regular verb, like in base form, no transformation. We have past simple, and then we have past participle. And that is the combination that we have to use here in present perfect. In a moment, we're going to refresh our memory about the verbs in past participle. Now, in which cases we use them? That probably was the idea on this second exercise. Notice that when we're talking about actions that started in the past but still continue in present, this example from the activity, it says, Brad Pitt has been interested in architecture since he was young. That means that in present, he still likes architecture just like he liked architecture in his past. but the event continues in his life. In other cases, Barack Obama has published several books. The same idea. It's still like having somehow an impact on the present life of the person, in this case, of course, talking Barack Obama. And in which cases we use past simple, when it is pretty obvious that the action is completely finished in past. There is not like a continuation, or we see that there is not an impact in present. Look at this example. It says in 2008, he wrote a book for his two daughters. It was in that moment, in that year, that specific book, and the action has already finished. So we have to be very careful. Of course, we always need context, because if we only analyze the verb, if we only analyze like the have or the has, it can be confusing. But as I was telling you, if we see that it is, for example, in the case of Winston Churchill, that is a little bit obvious, you know, that the guy already died. That means that everything about him is going to be in past because his actions have already finished. But what happens with people who are still alive? There is that moment that the person already did some actions, that's it. But there are some actions that are still like happening in his, her life. And that means that the impact continues. That's the point. I listened to a voice. Maybe you have a question, guys.
Teacher, can you repeat the how when we use present perfect, please?
The idea of present perfect is the action somehow started in the past, but it still has like an impact in our present. Like in the case that he has written some books. Okay, he started writing books in the past, but it is probably a hobby or something that he likes doing still in his present moment of his life. That is why it is still considered present perfect, because it hasn't finished like completely, you know? That is probably the most common idea. Or for example, I can say about you guys that you have started studying English, right? The action started last week, but of course there is still an impact in your present life and it is going to continue for a year. We can't say that you finished studying English. The course is still present in your life. So it is always that connection. Present perfect probably is one of the most common tenses in English, precisely because our life is like, you know, a continuous process of what was happening in our past and it still has an impact in our present. But again, we always need context, guys. And even in some cases, as it is showed on the final box that we have in here, we can use some extra information that can be really useful to know if the action is finished or if it's still having some progress. Notice the, let's say, expressions that we can use or phrases talking about past simple. 10 minutes ago, a year ago, a week ago, 3 hours ago, everything that contains ago, it's immediately talking about past, okay? When we say the year, in whatever year we're talking about, in the century we're talking about, other expressions, for example, the case of yesterday, it is not here, but everything that we connect with last week, last year, last month, last semester, when we talk about the expression like when I was young, and that immediately makes a connection to our past. That means that it is completely finished. But there are other cases that we can use other expressions and they give us the idea of present perfect. When we say, for example, since 2005, it began in 2005 and it still continues in present. So far, in the last 10 years, you know, that means that the impact is still present in our lives. Let's put it in that part, in that way, sorry. Okay, questions? Well, questions, no, let's start practicing. That is basically the point. I'm going first to start with, let's refresh our memory, talking about the irregular verbs in past participle. It is going to be probably the fastest Kahoot ever. There are just a very few verbs. You won't have a lot of time. Remember, guys, that we're talking about verbs in past participle and not past simple. That is the first thing to keep in mind. Well, I'm sorry for the noise, but I can't do anything about it. And I'm going to turn the microphone off for a moment. There are 19 participants. That's the number of people that I'm expecting for this Kahoot. $14. $18, very good. One person probably is missing. ¿A quién estamos esperando? A ver. Bueno, alguien colocó el código, no problem. That happens, I guess. Okay. We have to start. As I was telling you guys, it's probably the fastest Kahoot ever. You have to choose the verb in past participle. There you are. Let's begin. Only 12 verbs, past participle of drink. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's drunk. Very good. With A is the past simple form. Remember, guys, we're talking about past participle. That is the, let's call it the combination that we're going to use when we create the sentences in present perfect. Sylvia, excellent. All of them are of 10 seconds. What about come? It is come as well. Came is the past simple. Lo que repasamos. Excellent, Sylvia. Let's continue. What about do? It's done. Very good. Well, it was better compared to the previous one. Did is the past simple. Oh, Jimena, nice. Number 4. What about take? It is taken. Took is past simple. Okay, some changes. Number 5, what about speak? It's spoken. Spoke is past simple. Very good. Number 6, what about write? We already saw it. It's written. Very good. Wrote is past simple. Very good, Sylvia. Number 7, what about give? Excellent. Nothing to say. Careful, careful. Number 8, what about see? Absolutely nothing to say. Number 9, what about do? You already know. Ah, nice. You paid attention. Ah, nice. Very, very close. Number 10, what about eat? It's eaten. Very good. You already got the hang of it. Okay, Danny appeared. We only have two left. Don't make mistakes. What about buy? The tricky one. Well, it was just a spelling thing. As you already know, bought can be used for past simple and past participle. Of course, as usual, it would depend on the context. Okay. The last one. What about go? It was gone. Very good, guys. It was pretty tight. I knew that you knew. That's it, Jimena. Excellent. Very good. Anna B on second place. An absolute winner from the very beginning. That was Sylvia. Very good. Of course, the runners-up, we had John and Dan. As I was telling you, maybe it sounds like pretty obvious, but we have to be very careful. Let's mute this. Pay attention to the verbs. The good thing, guys, is that you have a really good level, so it is not going to be like an issue at the end of the day. But at the same time, we can't rely, you know, on the good level that we have if we don't know the verb, or if we are not that sure about the past participle form of the verb when we're talking about the combination of present perfect. Guys, look it up. In some cases, we are way too confident on what we know, and we assume like the conjugation of the verb. But remember that now in this case, we have like to separate and to analyze properly in which case it's past simple and in which case it's going to be present perfect. Well, guys, for the next activity, you are going to, let me share here something. Todos los participantes, listo. Guys, as you see, the instruction says, read about the surprising achievement of an ordinary person, Toby Ord. Complete the story with the correct form of the verb in brackets. This activity, as you see, it's a paragraph. That means that we have to analyze the context, also analyze probably the time expression that is giving us a guide to decide if it is present perfect or if it is past simple. You will be working in groups, okay? I'm gonna send you to breakout rooms. There are two activities that we will be doing on that way. And the intention, of course, is that you work collaboratively. For some of you, probably the topic is easier, and that's okay. For others, probably trying to see the difference between the two tenses can be tricky, and you know, that happens, and that's fine. And the only way, you know, to, let's say, achieve recognizing the difference is practicing. I'm gonna create, you know, rooms at random as usual. Hopefully all of you can participate on that. I already put here that you can share the screen among your groups so you don't have problems. Guys, notice that at the end we have nine verbs that we have to analyze. The idea that you as a group decide which is the correct form for all of them. Okay, guys, do you have any question?
How many minutes we do have?
Well, based on the fact that you will be working in groups, you're going and you have to analyze, you will have up to 12 minutes. That will be like the maximum amount of time. Okay.
Got it. Thank you.
And just to give you an extra hint, because there is a speaking activity that I really want to do with you guys. In total, you're going to have 6 verbs in past simple and 3 verbs, because they are 9, 3 verbs in present perfect. I'm not telling you, of course, the organization in general aspects, but for you like to have a guide and to do the math. If you have already, let's say, 4 statements in present perfect, that means that you have to, let's say, reevaluate what you have already created in order to make sure that you fulfill how the conjugation is supposed to be. Remember, guys, 6 of them are in past simple, and 6 of 3, the other 3 that are left are in present perfect. Questions? Okay, guys, I'm going to open the rooms. Let's begin. Gilbert, ¿está conectado? ¿Me escucha? Ujú. Well, guys, welcome back. I hope that you had like enough time to finish. That was the idea of working, in groups. And well, let's see how it was. Because of time, I'm going to share the answers with you. As I told you, there is a speaking activity that I really, really want to do. And we're going to compare. That's basically the point of this. Let me close this window over here. Yes. Let me move it now. Okay. Let's have a look at the answers. Well, but you can see. Cansado de moverse. Hasta acá. Okay, look at the answers. Here we have the box that is actually showing us how the verbs were supposed to be, let's say, conjugated, in which moments we were supposed to use past simple and present perfect. I would like you to compare how similar it is, how different it is. What do you think?
Teacher,
Yes.
I have a
Let
question.
me... Yes, Daniela.
Last year, which is the difference in last and past year?
Well, definitely when we are talking about last, that means that it is already finished, While past is like to say los últimos años. Let's put it like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So last finish.
Yeah, let's put it like that. Last would be, well, I'm sorry for your Spanish, but just like to make sure that it is as clear as possible. Last would be pasado. Año pasado, semana pasada, bla, bla, bla.
Y past year es durante
Últimos.
este año. O sea, digamos, por ejemplo, en este año, 2022.
You're talking about number 3. Well, in that case, como durante el último año, making reference that the year, hasn't finished, as you said, basically.
Okay, teacher, thank you.
Yeah, I know that past can be tricky because we say past, we say, okay, that is past simple because the name of past simple is past simple. But now that we have the time expression, it's giving us, let's say, a bigger time frame, and it is definitely not talking about a completed action itself. Before we continue. Okay, good. Any other? No, guys.
Why?
Yes, Stephanie, sorry.
Why is hearing no gave?
In number 3?
In number 8 and number 3, yeah.
Well, gave would be the past simple, but as you see in number 3 and number 8, because we're using present perfect as the tense, so the verb that we need is in past participle. So we can't say has gave, the proper form will be given. That is the past participle of the verb give.
Yes, teacher, but how do we identify the third statement is present
perfect?
Present perfect, yes.
Yes, we were saying, if we analyze the context, we can see that it is not like a completed action in terms of the time frame. Like, if I'm not mistaken, Daniela was asking about number 3. When we were talking about here, this expression that it says the past year, like it hasn't finished. It's still like, in progress. Let's put it like that. When I say progress, I don't want you to be confused with present continuous. And also notice, for example, the case of number 8. In number 8, it says also this year. It says the money that I away this year. So we can say that it is a finished action compared to the other time expressions. For example, the case of last. It is tricky, right? Number 1, number 2, number 5, and number 6 were regular verbs. And I'm sure that, well, it wasn't a problem to you. And then we had number 3 and number 4 as irregular verbs, the case of gave and found. I think that these verbs are, let's say, known to you, like you already knew the verbs from the past. It is not like you were facing a new set of verbs, in this case, to be used. Or you had any problems looking for the verbs? I mean, the past participle ones. Too many questions at the same time? Sorry. Okay, yes, let's put it in this way. I know that usually when we have this type of exercises, it gets a little bit more complicated because we are already like tied to a frame in particular. In reality, it is not that complex. We always require, first of all, the context. I mean, that is like a key point in order to recognize, and also the time expressions. As I was telling you, I really want to do a speaking activity. I'm going to tell you what it is about, well, with the time that we have left, of course. First, I'm going to give you the instruction. I'm going to rearrange the breakout rooms in order to make sure that you can actually work in pairs. I really, really hope that part. Probably in some cases there would be, and actually we can work in pairs. This is going to be the idea. First of all, as I told you, you will be working in pairs. Here on this image, notice that we have some prompts. For example, meet a famous person, spend a whole day without talking to anybody, win a competition, see a lion or a tiger. But as you see, all the ideas are, let's say, without the proper conjugation. What you have to do from the image, you're going to choose and ask one another 3 questions. The idea that all your questions begin with exactly the same way. Am I sharing the whole screen? No, that's nice. This is the image that I'm explaining. So again, working in pairs. Here I'm showing you some prompts in order to create the questions in present perfect. The idea that all your questions begins with have you ever, okay? The idea that you're going to expand, you know, those experiences also using past simple. You're going to do this on our PowerPoint, share PowerPoint. You already know the slide that you're supposed to be working on. And that's the intention. First of all, that you're going to type your name. In this part, you're going to go to the slide that you usually work on. Then here you're going to write the name of the person you will be working with. And in this case, well, probably I'm not going to ask you to create 3 questions. I'm going to ask you to create 2. So we can have some time, you know, for you to interact and to make the use of present perfect and also to expand the information in past simple. Why to expand the information in past simple? Because you will be talking about a very specific moment of your life when you live that experience. For example, the question would be, have you won a competition? You can say, yes, I have won a competition. Last year, I participated in this sports event and I won blah, blah, blah. So that is the intention, that we combine both things. As I was telling you, it is easier when we put it into practice and we see how it can make sense. Guys, do you have any question?
Yes, teacher. I want to ask, I want to clarify some information because I couldn't understand very well. You say that we need to write 2 questions, and based on those questions, we need to interact, speak about that.
Exactly.
And another question that I have is about the slides. On each slide, we need to put our name and the person that we are working with, right?
Exactly.
And the other person or our partners have to do the same as well.
Exactly. Exactly, Jim. That's the point. For example, usually in your case, your slide is slide 20, right? So you go to slide 20, you will type your name and you will be working with Andres Alvarez. So here in the part that says name of your classmate, you're going to write Andres Alvarez, okay? The idea that you go to the slide that you usually work on. Yeah, guys, I know that time is tight, but I am really interested on seeing the interaction that you have. As I told you, I have already rearranged the slides. Let's have a look at this information. I know that you know the slide that you are usually working on. So I'm going to send you the link to the PowerPoint. I have it already here. I only have 10 minutes left, but that happens. Look at your slide. So you make sure that you go to the one that it is supposed to be done. And this will be our final activity of the day. I am requested to tell you this information again in Spanish. Mañana y el jueves no tenemos clase. Recuerden que nos volvemos a reunir el viernes. It's a, you know, a piece of information that we have to repeat it during these days. Well, guys, are you already on your slide?
Teacher, this information is for both classes or only
For both classes. Sí, para ambas. I'm going to say that in Spanish. Tanto para la sesión con el profe Omar como conmigo. Nos volvemos a encontrar literalmente todos nuevamente hasta el próximo viernes. Well, guys, let's begin. I really want you to do the activity, but at the same time, I also want you to rest. Let's start. Let's go to the rooms. Final activity of the night. Bueno, Brian and Joely, cuéntenme.
Es que qué pena, es que estoy desde el celular y no me sale.
Ok, no, Joely, ¿sabe qué vino a pasar? Que cuando armé las salas, de pronto en ese momento usted no estaba, porque ahorita me salió que ingresó.
Ah, sí.
Venga, reviso. Pero me dice que está del celular, entonces usted no podría editar.
señor.
Esa es como la cuestión.
No, o sea, yo tengo pues el computador, pero es que el internet en el computador es muy malo. Entonces me toca
Sí.
desde el celular porque en el computador el Zoom se me traba mucho, se me sale mucho, entonces me toca desde el celular.
Ah, bueno, pero ya lo que es hacer lo de PowerPoint sí lo puede hacer desde el computador, por decirlo así.
Sí, sí, señora, sí.
Joely, pero creo que alguien se salió y quedó sola. A ver. Si todos ya ingresaron. La voy a enviar a la sala 4. Y voy con usted a la sala 4. ¿Listo? Yo le voy a enviar la invitación. Debería salir. Eso. Vamos a la sala 4.
Yeah. This one?
Hey
Yes.
guys, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I sent Joely, hi, good evening. I sent Joely also to this group because she was alone, okay? So anyway, the idea is pretty much the same, but then you decide, I want to say a random, like Joely asks Judy, Judy asks Harold, and Harold asks Joely, okay? So you decide how to organize it. Yes?
Sorry, teacher,
Yes,
each
teacher,
one.
teacher.
Go, no problem.
No, go ahead.
I was asking that we have to do is just make 3 questions each one of us, and later we have to ask this question to the other classmates.
Well, for the moment, 2 questions because of time, and the idea that, well, here, the idea that you create different questions, you know?
Okay.
And also to write the information, but yeah.
Excuse me,
I got
teacher.
it.
Can you send us the presentation with the
Okay. Sure, I'm going to upload it. Yeah, in this moment.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, see you. Okay, that is not a nice picture of me, but that's okay. Well, guys, tell me.
Teacher, we have a dog
Okay,
activity.
sure, tell me.
Um, we have to ask to my partner uh, questions with past or present perfect, and she have to answer my questions.
The idea that the questions are in present perfect and all the
Present
questions
perfect.
begin with have you ever. That's like the intention on the first part. And the idea is that in the answers you include both present perfect and past simple. I was giving you the example, like have you ever won a competition? You can say, yes, I have won a competition. Until that part is present perfect, right? But then you're going to say, last year, I participated in a, I don't know, basketball tournament and we won first place. So notice that on the explanation or when you were expanding on the event, because it was last year, you can use past simple.
That's simple. And then the question, the answers uh, are in past simple, and the
Yes.
questions in present perfect.
Yeah, because
Teacher,
in the answers you are already like talking about an event in your past.
okay, teacher, and the number of the slide is the same the last occasion?
Yeah, I'm gonna, yeah, you can see it in here. Yes, let me remind you your slide,
I am
Brian.
14.
You keep on being 14.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, thank you, guys. Well, guys, I know that you haven't finished, that actually 10 minutes is not that enough in order to complete the activity. The good thing is that on Friday, when we get back, we will continue talking about present perfect. So somehow this activity will be a connection, you know, of what we were doing. What is going to be like the mini homework, at least? Let's have the questions ready, okay? Let's make sure that you have already decided what the questions are. And then on Friday, we can move to the other part where we can combine both things, present perfect and past simple, which is actually the idea of this activity. Of course, I know that you will be enjoying your time with whatever you want to do tomorrow and of course on Thursday, but let's make sure that you have at least the questions. If you already managed to do everything, that is great. So we can add an extra component on Friday based on what we will be studying on that day. So guys, do you have any question? I already took 10 minutes of your time, but anyway, I would like to know if you have any question.
Hey, teacher, sorry, I can listen the homework because el audio se trabó.
No, let's say that the homework is to make the questions. If you couldn't do the part where you receive the answer from your classmate, don't worry. Make sure that you have the questions ready. That would it be.
Ah, okay, finish the activity. Okay.
Basically. Yeah, because then on Friday, because we continue talking about present perfect, we can, let's say, recycle this activity and also add something extra that we will be studying on Friday. So it is not wasted time. I promise that. Guys, as usual, thank you very much for your time, for your effort. I really hope once again that you enjoy tomorrow and on Thursday. Let's not forget that we meet again on Friday. Have a wonderful night, guys. Take care, everybody.
Have a good
Bye-bye.
one. Bye-bye.
Teacher.
Bye bye,
teacher.
teacher.
Thank you, bye.
Thank you,
Bye
guys.
bye.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Thank you.